I'm going to see if real quick if I'm echoing, which I know I'm not, but I'm still going to just check because I'm paranoid because we have yet to go a week without some catastrophic fuck up. Hang on a sec. Oh. I'm going to see if real. Okay, no echo. Yay! All right. Okay, so as usual, I am Blaine, and with me today is Anthony.
Hello.
That wasn't quite fast enough. Ernesto.
What's up?
And Jay. Just kidding. Okay, so
I was like, what the, where is he?
I really hope he's watching. I guess he has threatened to finally come on the show. And that's Jay, formerly of the Too Old for This, or I think, yeah, the Too Old for This podcast.
Well, not formally. He's still there.
Well, no, but their podcast is deceased.
Oh.
Yeah. But in any case, so yeah, we are actually for once having a relaxed kind of show because we're done with 2017. We pretty much covered our 2018 games of the year, even if we lost 20 minutes of that show, including Ernesto's and my games for 2018. So, oh well. But yeah, so here we are. And so this week we'll be talking Whatcha Playin. I'm going to talk a little bit of my PAX South 2018 experience. And then at the tail end, we'll talk up Monster Hunter World a little bit. And then we're going to have a very deep discussion on why Ernesto didn't tell me Lost Sphere was coming next week. So, Anthony, why don't you get us started with Whatcha Playin?
All right, so if you remember our long conversation last week on Horizon and my difficulties with the combat, I will say I think that I've sort of turned the corner on it not being as difficult.
You're doing it better?
A side note, one of the things that actually got me over that and made the game a hell of a lot easier was I just said screw it and I started farming all the things needed to expand my storage.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It sounds really odd, but in doing that, I was able to get the final things I needed to get the Shadow Rope Caster, which is like one of the higher. Yeah, so I had this weird thing where I didn't want to buy anything unless it was the highest tier one available.
Are those Shadow the purple ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just refused to buy anything until I could buy the purple ones because they let you buy like the end game crap like really, really early.
Right.
So it was just like this mental thing where I'm like, I'm not going to waste resources. I'm waiting until I can get the best one. So farming up all those silly like rabbit bones and crap, because the other thing that irritated the hell out of me. So the only reason I bring this up is in case anybody's like in the same boat and having trouble getting into the game. I was always running out of material space.
Yep.
And the first upgrade I did added like 10 slots or something. So I just thought, big deal. I'll worry about that crap later. Then suddenly, if you upgrade it further, it doubles it to like 100. So it's like the upgrades are not indicative of what the next tier is, if that makes sense. And that's what made me just ignore that entire portion of improving my character. So once I did that, I was never running out of storage, so I was actually able to pick up all the crap, which made it flow a hell of a lot better. And B, I was able to just go straight to those purple weapons. And since I was doing that, I finally got over my fear of attaching a mod to it. So I didn't have any mods on any of my crap up till that point, especially my armor. So it's made it like worlds easier, even on normal.
So I got good news, real quick. I have good and bad news for you. One, you're going to fill up that 100 real quick. Two, the good news is, and the reason I like the incremental upgrades for weapons and armor is because you can stop caring about materials that are below a certain grade at that point. So if you get everything mid tier, you can just start selling off all the low tier materials. And then same thing with the purple. But so were you actually able to completely skip the middle tier?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have the Frozen Wastes expansion?
No.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask that too.
Yeah.
because it has some abilities that like really make it easy. You can actually break stuff down and sell it from your menu.
And
Oh.
you can level higher, and you can get better gear. So I would recommend that you get that expansion before you finish the game, because it will just be an overall easier and more robust game that way.
Well, and
Uh,
so I skipped over the hunting grounds too.
yeah.
Those give crazy XP because I just went back to them with the purple weapons and I was getting like I was first time 3-starring everything. So I did that on like the first two. And I think that made me level up like 2 or 3 times
Cool.
just from doing that. So I know we spent a while talking about it last week.
It's fun.
So it's I'm having fun with it. I'm still playing through it. I did take a pause from it though. You want me to go on to my second item?
Real,
Circle back.
you know, go ahead. I have one last question about Horizon, which is, where are you in the game?
I just finished to keep away from spoilers just because some people might still be picking it up on now that it's going on sale everywhere. There was I went up a really, really tall tower and got a lot more history on some of the characters and the why things are the way that they are. But it was the
Okay.
really snowy tower, and I
Yeah,
fought like 2 of the dreadnoughts so far.
that's an awesome area. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at in the story, though I've been doing a lot of side quests. So I think I'm at like level 34 or so.
Okay. Damn. All right.
That's great. Yeah.
Okay. So what else you got?
So it was interrupted when I realized that the Dissidia Final Fantasy NT open beta was going on PS4, which I am a complete Final Fantasy whore. It, even if the games, I mentioned this before when we were going over like Final Fantasy 15. I mean, to be honest, I think that since 9, well, with the exception of 12, 12 was actually pretty good. I mean, Final Fantasy hasn't really had a great game since 12.
Yeah.
And that came out in what, like 2004, 2005?
Wasn't
I think
it
it was
6?
Well,
Or no, it can't be that late.
I'm pretty sure it preceded the Untitled podcast, and maybe. Well, oh, we did. You know what? What year did the PS3 come out?
Yeah, it was the fall the PS3 came out because that's
Right.
why it took me like 6 months to play it because I wanted to. Once you get a new system, you're like, oh, I just want to play PS3 games.
It may have been 2006.
I think it was like Halloween 2006. Now that you mentioned,
Because I played through it was my first PS3 game, even though it was PS2. Because I have one of the OG PS3s that plays PS1, PS2, and PS3. And yeah, that was my only game on PS3 for months.
Yeah, it must have been 2006 because I played it in 2005 because I imported it, and I was playing that in college.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy games have really been sort of a mixed bag, and the Final Fantasy offshoot games have been even more of a mixed bag. Because like I remember I tried to get into like Crisis Core and Dissidia on PSP when those came out, and I remember I even keep in mind I'm the guy that imported Urgies when it came out on PlayStation. So
Gotta forgot about that game. Yeah.
hey, I got a really nice orange.
What was the tagline for that? God bless the ring.
God bless the ring.
Yeah, that was it.
So I had an orange shirt with Sephiroth on it that said God bless the ring. Funny side note to that, the Japanese medium size is much smaller than the American medium size.
I'm not
So
surprised.
that was a tight fitting t-shirt.
Wait, what game had the Airgees poster in the background? Like there was a Square game.
God,
Was it?
What, the bouncer or something?
I was just gonna say, I think it was the bouncer. It had an Airgees poster like in an arcade in the background at one point. That was such a disappointing game. Like
Yeah, and the reason I bring up Urgies is because that's kind of what I think of when I think of this game, just because it has similar roots in the arcade, at least in Japan. It's a fighting game, except in this case, it's all Final Fantasy characters. And don't remember the PSP games being 3-on-3, so that's a little bit odd for me. So for some setup, Dissidia Final Fantasy is a 3-on-3 fighter, but it's completely like open world fighter. So think like the closest thing that I've seen recently is Dragon Ball Xenoverse, those games where it's
Or
like
maybe like the Naruto games too.
yeah, so it's think of like a complete 3D open arena, and the controls are the wonkiest thing that I have ever experienced. So the entire my first impression of this game was it was the clunkiest piece of crap that I've played in a long time. Considering Team Ninja made it, and they make that very clear on the intro thing. They want
Wait. Team Ninja does
yeah.
Dissidia? Really?
I did not
So
know that.
the first character I decided to use was Sephiroth, and the open beta is still going on now. So if you're watching this now, queue it up for download if you're curious.
I refuse.
But
Go
they
ahead.
have a limited number of characters you can select depending on what day you're playing. So
Huh.
Sephiroth was available. I was like, oh hell, I'll give that a try. And the big issue that I had was I was trying to play it like a fighting game, and I expected when I hit a button that I would do a move, which I guess was an unfair expectation, at least for that character, because there's weird delays in what you're doing.
Are you being hyperbolic or are you being for real?
I'm being completely for real.
Huh.
So it's almost like there's a buffer animation depending on what move. And I guess that's because Sephiroth was considered a Vanguard class, which is like a slower. So they have like Vanguard and Assassin and Mage, or sort of Mage, and then like support. And
If they
depending
think
on
like they must have never played or seen anything Final Fantasy VII if Sephiroth is slow. But whatever.
and yeah, like I said, it's weird. He was just the wrong character for me to play. I started using Lightning after that, who I guess is like an assassin type.
Huh.
So her moves seem to flow quicker. And since then, it is a complete orgasm of special effects at any given time. To be honest, I have no clue what the hell's going on for half the time. I don't even know where my health is, but the whole thing is predicated on you do your normal attacks do not do any damage. They build up the amount of damage you can do and take away the amount of damage your opponent can do. Then you use a different button to actually attack. Now the catch is, and the biggest clunkiness that I'm still seeing with this is that keep in mind it's complete 3D space, but that delay is there with your attack that takes off HP. So you get up to a point basically where you can one-shot somebody. You hit the move, but if they're moving side to side, you're just going to miss 100% of the time. So it's odd. And sometimes when you're playing against the computer, which is mostly what I did, they just want to run away from you, and there is almost no way to catch them. So you have a dash, but you're both basically just dashing in the same direction, and you're trying to hunt them down. And I don't know. It's odd because certain attacks sort of track your opponent vertically. Some of them track a little bit horizontally. Some of them don't track your opponent at all. So you really need to know your character. And getting back to the moves. So basically, you have one attack button, and if you hit up in the attack button, down in the attack button, or attack button without a direction, so you have 3 moves. Then there's dash, and if you do dash plus attack neutral, dash plus attack up, and dash plus attack down. So that's like 6 attacks that you can do. And before the match, you choose your one attack that does hit point damage.
This sounds awful.
Then the triangle button is another slew of abilities where you choose your up triangle ability, your down triangle ability, and every character has an innate just triangle ability.
So my experience with the CD is limited to the PSP games.
Does any of this sound familiar?
Kind of, but now I'm like, because I remember being so lost in that game. Whether I would win or lose, I'd be like, "What the hell am I doing? I don't know what's going on." What you're describing sounds way more complicated. So they made it harder to.
And it's 3-on-3, and you have a summon that you build up being able to do that by breaking crystals that randomly appear.
Is the summon another character or like
so
Final Fantasy summons like you freed and Shiva and
it summons a Final Fantasy summon that acts as a character that just spams a bunch of special effects attacks on the board while it's summoned. So if you look at a video of it, it is the same as playing. I have no clue what in the hell is going on at any point. But
and that's the thing. Like every time I hear somebody talking about that game, they have no idea what they're playing. So how is this going to be accessible for people to play? I don't know.
well, and what I just said, so basically the problem that I see people having is they probably assume like square is heavy attack and X is light attack, but X will never damage HP and square will only damage HP if you build it up with X, but then it won't do any damage if you get hit a lot because then you do less damage with square. So
Right. That is from the originals. Yeah.
yeah, so and then it's 3-on-3 instead of 1-on-1. So you can imagine just the chaos, and it shows lines on who's attacking you, and it is baffling. Now, if you do decide, I love Final Fantasy enough, I'm going to get through this mess of confusion, both in controls and on screen. I will say the biggest thing that I discovered, so I just played offline. It gives you a choice of what looks like 3 teams to fight against, and it has like a difficulty level. So I thought I just had to choose from those 3. And by the 3rd round, I only had a choice of like mithril or platinum or something. And I get my ass stomped in like under a minute. And I was like, this is stupid. I'm never making it past the 3rd fight. You can scroll down on those 3 choices. So you can stay at like a bronze level for the entire fucking 6 battles. And then I will say, as terrible as this sounds, as weird as it feels to play it, I love Final Fantasy so much that there's something about seeing everybody from Final Fantasy 1 through 15 in such beautiful, like just there's something I've not gotten to use. Terra has not been a playable character, but Kefka has. So I think Kefka is still in the rotation today. There's something about seeing those characters I loved from like the Super Nintendo and before, like in a 3D setting like this. And I probably played it for like 3 hours, and I don't know why. I have no idea why. There's something about it, just the chaos of it, and just seeing those characters just and all these random special effects. It is strangely enjoyable, even though I cannot say that it's a good game at all. In fact, I'd say if you don't care deeply about Final Fantasy, it is a terrible game. Especially with this is a weird time because there's like a glut of fighting games coming out. There's the
Right.
arcade update for Street Fighter 5. There's Dragon Ball Fighter Z, which looks to be worlds better as an actual fighting game. And this one plays like none of that. So if you try the open beta, I would choose a fast character, so like an assassin type, and give it a try. I mean, it's weird. People love this game though, because I tried punching it in because after I played it for a little bit, I was like, this is one of the worst games I've ever played. And then you have people saying it's like basically, oh, you just don't know what you're doing. Like to people saying it's terrible. So and Team Ninja made it, so there's got to be some level of depth. And maybe I'm just like an old fogey that can't keep track of the crap that's happening on screen. But I don't know. I'm probably the sad part is I'm probably gonna pick it up just because I like there's something about playing as all these characters, and I I don't know. It's
I've got 3.5 words for you. Masters of Terras Casti.
which I also bought.
Jesus Christ, Tony. Yeah, for those that don't know, that was the really, really, really terrible Star Wars fighting game on PlayStation.
They modeled it after Tekken, but there
That's
was no
right.
yeah, the catch with that one, so Star Wars Masters of Terras Kasi. 2 fun facts from that. One, they modeled it after Tekken, but there was no input window. So like a 10-hit combo, you could just go and then just watch for like the next 30 seconds as your character did the next 10 attacks on the screen. It was hilarious.
So Alex says Team Ninja also made Other M. There is no guarantee of depth. So
That's a very solid point. I'll say this: I love Final Fantasy. I really do. I, apparently, you love Final Fantasy more than me because I'm not willing to put myself up with this. I tried the PSP original. I did not understand it, and then I was so pissed because I feel like I was missing out because everybody around me was like, "Man, you don't know what you're missing. This is great," and everybody was playing it like hardcore. And then the second one came out, Duodecim, was it? I don't know.
I didn't even bother with the second one because I didn't play the first one much.
Yeah, the second one was like, okay, maybe I'll give it a go. I borrowed it and I couldn't get it, and then this one looks even crazier.
Hey man, open beta, give it a shot.
Yeah. No, I have it downloading, so I'll give it a try tonight. I would love to see Terra, but we'll see.
So I think part of this too. So Tony, Anthony, whatever I'm supposed to call you now. You have a history with fighting games. Like, I mean, I remember your stories about the Northwest Plaza arcade and like taking down gangbangers in Street Fighter or whatever it was. But for me, because I love Final Fantasy as well, but I remember when the first Dissidia was announced, and I was like, I love Final Fantasy. I don't give a shit about fighters. I don't want this. And then just like moved on with my life very quickly.
Now,
And
to be fair, you bought Dirge of Cerberus.
why do you gotta bring up?
I bought that one too, actually.
Well, it had Vincent and
really good cutscenes.
Yeah, it absolutely.
And the story was interesting.
So
hopefully they
yeah, watch the cutscenes for this game then. I mean,
Okay.
it's
Well,
the same type shit.
So no, like, but hopefully with Dirge of Cerberus, that gets remade as a good game because I would love to play a good version of that game. Now, I have one other bone to pick because you seemed to like offhandedly slight Crisis Core, which is the best PSP game ever made.
I could not get through it.
Oh my God. Even I finished it.
I think I played it for like 2-3 hours and I just
that was amazing.
Crisis Core was really good. I enjoyed it a lot.
My issue is more with finishing handheld games.
Also, the best PSP game is Peace Walker. Thank you.
Anyway.
Hey, card combat makes any game better.
Oh God.
No, the PSP, the issue that I had with the PSP is the only way I could play that damn thing was plugged into a wall.
Yeah.
And it was just the most uncomfortable thing. That was when I was living in my my last house. And I remember it's like I'd plug it into the wall, so I'd be like lying like with my face down like on the bed so the cord would reach and crap. And it was it was obnoxious because the battery in that thing lasted like 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's interesting because like in terms of ergonomic design, the DS was far, far better than the PSP. Because the DS was really easy to just lie on my back and like play Phoenix Wright or Hotel Dusk or whatever. I mean,
and like my DS, I played through a bunch of games on that, like Advance Wars, all the the Metroidvania style games. I mean, crap like that. I had no trouble finishing games on the DS. The PSP, I don't think I finished a single game. And my Vita, I tried playing through Uncharted on that.
Oh yeah, it's rough. Yeah, and actually, like the Vita is the perfect console for old RPGs. Like, I've got every Final Fantasy up to X2 or 10-2 on that, I think. And then I've got Chrono Trigger on there. I've got Chrono Cross. All kinds of good shit. I guess Ernesto's making dinner real quick.
Hence the toast.
Yes. Yeah, so, that's it.
Yeah, I hope that the Switch turns into that because it's a little bit more comfortable to use. And it has the actual true 2 shoulder buttons on each side, which helps it along quite a bit, and the 2 analog sticks that aren't like nubs. Because that's the thing about like the newer 3DS XL. Is that thumbstick? I swear it's one, it cramps my hand to hold the thing, even the XL, and 2, like my knuckle on my thumb hurts after a while from using that weird nub because I have to. It's like a very sharp angle that I have to make with my thumb, and it keeps popping my knuckle using it. I don't know. It's probably just me.
So Alex says if you have X, it came with it, if I recall correctly. I have no idea what you're talking about, buddy. Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about 10 and 10-2. Yeah, those were bundled on the PS4 and the Vita. I think there was also a PS3 version of that. But
Yeah, see, my rebuy platform of choice has been Steam.
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's finally
Now,
paying off now that 12 and 15 are coming out in the next couple months. So
well, and I remember at the time the 10 and 10-2 came out for Vita. I was doing a lot of traveling at the time, so I was like, "Yeah, I'll play these on Vita." I've never fucking touched them on Vita, and I got them on Steam. Um, and yeah, like I think the only one that Steam's missing is 1 and 2, I believe.
I
Uh,
thought actually you're probably right. But to be honest, those are rough plays anyway. Well, 2 is.
yeah, I said 2. Like 1, actually, I replayed like within the last 10 years and blew through it.
I had Dawn of Souls and the whatever the collection. I have all the collections on PS1, where they released them in like packs of 2, where they had like Final
Yeah,
Fantasy, I think 1 and 2, and then they had like 4 and Chrono Trigger for some random reason, and 5 and 6. Like the
yeah,
way
yeah.
them off was weird. So I played through 1 on PlayStation 1, and that's where I made my first attempt at 2. And after I realized I could cheese it by attacking my own team, a la Final
Uh,
Fantasy Tactics,
yeah.
I just lost interest. Actually,
Well,
was
and actually, the definitive versions of 1 and 2 are actually for GBA.
yeah, I still have
Uh,
Dawn of Souls cartridge.
yeah, because those are by like the best looking sprites, and I want to say the translation is cleanest on that, and they have additional dungeons.
Same with
Uh,
4 through 6. Also,
yeah,
GBA.
that's right. Oh, those. And what sucks is Nintendo, like at least has a hand in suppressing those going elsewhere. But it would be cool to see all that come out on the Switch. Um, I might actually buy one at that point then.
Yeah, as
But
long as they port the real versions and not the weird mobile crap. Though I don't know. Squaresoft has the spottiest record on just handling what are amazing games of anyone, and it varies game to game. It's the
yeah.
sloppiest crap that I've ever seen. Like just look at the Secret of Mana remake that's coming out that looks atrocious.
Oh, really? I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
Oh my god! It might just be me, but it is terrible. Like imagine what they did for FF3 on 3DS, which I still hate that the 3D.
Yeah,
I mean, it just looks bad, and
it does.
it's
So
pre PS1 level detail on the characters, and the sprites were beautiful for those games.
I totally agree.
So
So Alex says NES FF1 is the best NES drunk game. I'm going to disagree with you there. I'm going to suggest Excite Bike or
what
maybe
about RC, the one where it's like a top?
RC Pro Am.
Yeah,
RC Pro Am, that would be a good one too. Or Rad Racer. Actually, Square's first game, Rad Racer. Um, yeah, I'm trying to figure out how NES FF1 would be a good drunk game because I mean, early on the game is easy, but it is one of those games where if you aren't paying attention, you will get stomped. And well, unless you do the magic all red mage party, which is really fun. It's like you can basically face roll your way through the game with all red mages. Um, yeah, and actually, it's funny that class because it was my favorite class in the first Final Fantasy. That class very nearly brought me back to Final Fantasy 14 when they introduced it with Stormblood. But I did have actually, fuck, I did go back,
I was
and
gonna
yeah,
say
I did
I bought all the expansions.
I did that thing I always do where I'm like, I'm going to spend $80 on this, which will make me play it, and I don't think I ever touched it, and I think I still subbed for 3 months. So, you're welcome, Square Enix.
Add another $45 onto your tab then.
Yeah, because like you know me, I got the big mega special edition, and yeah, it's funny because like FF14 is a very mechanically sound MMO, but I hate to be shallow, the mute flappy lips just makes me absolutely crazy. Like I hate that.
And I think the reason I never got into it is because what draws me to Final Fantasy is the stories, and the only reason I even care at all about Dissidia is the characters because of the stories that they were a part of. If they were not,
So
huh?
is there a narrative? Is there a narrative in Dissidia?
There's supposed to be. I'm sure it's terrible though. I believe it's basically like there is somebody at this light tower and somebody at this dark tower, and so the person at the light tower summoned the heroes of all Final Fantasy. The person at the dark tower summoned all the evil people from all Final Fantasy, and the story is we must fight to stay alive or something, and that's basically it. And you get a Moogle talking to you in their obnoxious voice for a lot of it.
So it's basically a standard Japanese fighter.
Yeah,
in regards to story.
We should all, since it's 3-on-3, if you both download that demo while we're chatting, we could always queue up online and get slaughtered. Oh, that the only final thing that I'll say about it. So I tried 2 matches online after I built my confidence and figured out I could fight like all bronze and silver opponents, and I got absolutely decimated. So yeah, and that was during, I wasn't fighting even because they have a different queue for if you're by yourself or if you have a prearranged party. So I knew I was fighting with a bunch of solo folks. I was slaughtered. So yeah, if we all fought together, I think we could lose in 30 seconds or less.
So, but I mean, but like when you say 3-on-3, like it's tag team, right?
No, it's all simultaneous.
Oh my god.
That's what I was saying. It's a cluster. You have no clue what's going on at any given time.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah,
throw in the special effects from a summon, and the whole screen is just flashes and explosions, and the UI takes up about 40% of your viewing area. And
I'm just trying to think of like any Final Fantasy spinoff like that's not been an RPG that's been any good at all. And I mean, Crisis Core is an action RPG.
Yeah, there haven't been a ton if you really think back. Even though I barely played it, crap, Theorhythm.
Yeah, what? Okay, so I've heard that name. What is it?
It is a celebration of all the Final Fantasy music. I mean, that's the best way that I can describe it. I think I have 2 copies of it. I can probably just give you one. Don't ask. I got one of them for like $6 on accident. So it was, but it's like a tapping game for the most part, but it's based on, you pick like a musical number from a Final Fantasy game. And then past that, you like do different things, and it makes the Final Fantasy characters do attacks and everything. Some of them have like a cutscene playing in the background, but it's just a chill game where you're just like, I could stand to put on a Final Fantasy soundtrack. I might as well interact with it.
So Alex says Crystal Chronicles GameCube if you have a full team.
That was like there was like that, and there was like 4 Swords. There was a bunch of those type of games, I think.
And I would have loved to play Crystal Chronicles with a 4-person team, because I only had at the time one friend that, because you had to get the Game Boy Advance SP and the link cable, so everybody needs to have this. Oh man.
Yeah, because you use the GBA as a controller on the GameCube, like that was
right. Yeah.
And
one person had to carry the bucket, so that would only leave one person to be on the offensive.
I know absolutely nothing about it, but World of Final Fantasy, and to be honest, I stayed away from it because of the art style.
World of Final Fantasy is actually a pretty solid RPG, I gotta say. I know it doesn't look like it, but it kind of is.
Is it
that one got me because of my love of Final Fantasy. What?
Is it a standard RPG, or is it like some weird?
Yeah. So the controllers are kind of modern, but you can put it on classic mode, so you'll get the classic Final Fantasy blue window with the commands, and that's how I play it. But yeah, basically the twist to it that makes it different than a regular Final Fantasy is that you can capture enemies like in Pokemon, and then you fight alongside them. So
That's why I skipped on it actually.
But yeah, but it's actually cool, man. The way it works, I don't know. I dug it. I thought it was pretty cool.
I
Yeah,
get
the-
character overload and end up having to just bail on games because of that. Even Chrono Cross, I actually bailed on that.
Yeah.
It was just overwhelming.
Mm.
It,
But yeah,
gen-
so
go ahead.
yeah, that demo is the only other thing that I really put much time into this week.
So yeah, so obviously, and also when we talk what you're playing, it's not just what you've been playing, but also what you're going to play this weekend. Yeah, so
Yeah, I'll keep powering forward in Horizon. At some point, I might go back into Old Republic. There wasn't a reason I dropped off of it. It was more I found that Horizon was a better game the more I devoted to it.
yep,
So I feel like if I spend too much time away from Horizon, if I lose that combat flow, I'm not going to get back into it. So I kind of want to just focus on Horizon until it's all the way done.
yeah, no, I had the
Good man.
advantage. I had the advantage of not being able to play PC games and being stuck in a recliner, and just having just had spinal surgery. So it was actually easy for me to only play that game. But yeah, uh, and I said this last time too. This is such a weird time of year, probably for a lot of people that play games, because the release cadence has slowed to a crawl. Even though we're on the verge of the late winter, spring games that come out in February and March. But yeah, I started a new character in Fallout 4 for God knows what reason. I also want to caution people that install lots and lots of mods like me. Sometimes you will be in a weird mood and install a bunch of weird shit and then forget that you installed it and then start a new character like a year later.
That you had
And
like
then,
a mod that turned everyone into futanari's or something.
well, so I made a woman this time,
Okay.
and
Sound like you molded her from clay or something.
well, for some reason she's a sex robot, and I'm trying to figure out how that happened. And then I started sifting through all the I think of the ESM files, and then sure enough, there's like this sex robot file in there, and I'm like, I must have installed that at some point. But what's neat is there's this huge long storyline that goes with it. And you can do battle with like other sex robots. And yeah, and actually like the art on it is really cool because you can actually like see through the seams on her body. And there's like electronics and shit underneath, and I don't know. So the art's really neat, but like I'm trying to resolve her current state against the main storyline. And Ernesto, I don't think you played it, did you?
4 no.
Okay. So
I don't know, man. I didn't click with it. I don't know what it was, to be honest. Maybe I have no idea what it was.
Yeah,
I don't want to say that it was because I bought it on Xbox and I'm a PS4 guy, so I really don't want to think I'm that shitty, But
So-
for some reason, I just didn't click with it.
Well,
So
I heard it was like just completely soulless. I mean, that's the
well,
best.
hang on one sec. So Z Samuel Ghost has actually donated. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Damn, dude, that's really cool. That's the first time in a long time I've seen that. So we really, really appreciate it. So yeah, so we're saying hi to you. And hey, if you want to give us a follow, feel free to. So wow, I'm kind of blown away. So anyway, please continue what you're saying.
No, I was just saying from what I heard, Fallout 4 was kind of soulless. Like when comparing Fallout to Elder Scrolls, I felt like Fallout was just somewhat depressing to begin with because of the world, so it was always harder to draw me in. But 3 did it eventually when I gave it a fair shot because it was just interesting going to all these different places. And everything that I heard was that if you played through 3, there is no reason to play through 4. So I'm not sure if that's
Maybe that's what it was because I played 3 to death. Like I played that thing, all the DLCs,
yeah.
a lot. So.
That was one of my 100% gamer score things I was proud of just because the achievements weren't wonky. It was basically just to say, I played the shit out of this game. I beat everything that there is to beat. And it was as simple as that.
So Z Samuel Ghost has donated again. Jesus, man. Like we're really grateful. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Fallout 3 versus New Vegas versus 4.
He did say it.
I've played all of them, and I've played all of them pretty extensively. It took me. There was a sizable hill or whatever. I said I was going to give more. Yeah, dude, you honored your word. We're like, that's amazing.
That is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. But it took me a lot to get over the hump in terms of Fallout 3 because exactly what Tony said, where it's the world of Fallout's incredibly depressing. Wow, and he donated again. Jesus, dude. Wow, help you guys to buy good cameras. Yeah,
that's good.
I'm definitely the one who needs it. But yeah, brother, yeah, you're amazing, man. God, we really appreciate it. Yeah, like it actually took me years to get into Fallout 3, believe it or not. And then once, I don't know, there was a point where it all just kind of clicked for me, and I kept rolling through it, and then I ended up actually playing all the DLC, played the whole game, and it was absolutely incredible. And then I got to New Vegas, which, in my opinion, is the best one of the modern Fallout games because it's Obsidian. I love their dark humor. The Bethesda games. Yeah. All right, Samuel Ghost, thank you so much. Yeah, Ernesto will be on at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 Central. So, yeah, if you want to tune in then.
Cuphead, yeah.
Kufed.
Kufed.
Yeah, Kufed, thank you. But yeah, and then New Vegas has the best humor. I think it's just the best overall. Fallout 4. I like the game, but I'm so much better at writing than talking. Talk hard, but Fallout 4 is a lot of really good mechanics and a pretty damn in the best main story in all the Fallout series.
Really? More than New Vegas?
The main story, yes.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Not the side quests or the overall world, but the biggest problem for me with Fallout 4 is the boring ass location. And this isn't even a fuck Boston thing, but fuck Boston. But beyond that, and I say that because of the sports teams and I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to start that big a flame war. But the setting, after DC in 3, which was really interesting, and then the desert wasteland in New Vegas, like the setting in Boston is just so boring. And I noticed too, they actually tried to make it more like Elder Scrolls, where there's a lot more like wooded areas and more open spaces. But it's just dull. I mean, it's just boring. That and the settlement, the vanilla version of settlements sucks.
That's what got me out of it. Like that's when I quit that whole building thing. I'm really not one to like that kind of stuff. Well, so that's when I was like, I'm done.
Like the incessant nagging from the settlements too, and like it becomes a point where it's like a fun inhibitor, where it's like you're really getting into the game, and then all of a sudden like, oh shit, we need help over here, and it's like, well, I was enjoying what I was doing, but anyway, so. I'm replaying it again, and I was really digging it. And then I got to the first settlement, Sanctuary, and I was like, and I may just drop this second playthrough or like shelve it for a while. But otherwise, what the hell else did I say?
So is it more or less a sequel that just really had no reason to exist?
It's more of the same, man. You boot it up, even the music is the same from 3.
No, I mean, no, it is like the it's, but I mean, but a lot of sequels do that, where it's like it's a rearrangement of the original theme, like all the Uncharted games, all the
Oh
Final
no, no,
Fantasy.
but I mean the radio, the songs that it had, like because the tracks in New Vegas were different, and then you boot this one up, and it's like I don't know, man. It was too much of
Well,
the same
well, and okay, so
for me
it is
personally.
it is absolutely an iteration on an established formula, but there's a lot of improvements to this, and a few like if anything, there's almost too many improvements because some of them just don't work. And like the settlement mechanic is a huge addition.
Does that make it still an improvement if it didn't work?
When I say improvement, I mean the intent by the developer, not
You mean
necessarily
change, just a general change, or
it's what do we call it in project management, Tony? It's a feature or
you could call it a feature, yeah.
something like that. I don't know. But you work in project management, so you know all those terrible terms that they use to talk out the sides of their mouth. Whereas I'm the developer that has to implement your bullshit.
Yeah,
Regardless,
somebody just had a bunch of ideas or pet projects or things that maybe they started for another one and they just shoved it all in. And I that's basically what and some of the DLC even just looked odd. Like wasn't one just like robot fighting game or some crap?
no, actually, that one was really cool. It did look like some pointless add-on, but that one was actually really cool. The one DLC that I actually never finished was the amusement park one, because it was just so grindy. It's cool, but it's like I don't. I think by that point I was kind of Fallout 4'd out. So anyway, I'll probably end up dropping that one, and coming back later. I don't know. We'll see. The other Pillars of Eternity, I picked back up again because I hung out with Obsidian for a little while over the weekend at PAX South. And
Look at you, big man.
well, no, I mean it was their community manager and one of their producers. Two very cool people, Mikey Dowling and Katrina Garston. Very cool people. Yeah, so it's not like I was, helping build the fucking game or anything. But anyway, talking to them, and then like we got talking about the changes from Pillars 1 to Pillars 2, and it got me kind of fired up to actually play the original again, especially since they warned me that I needed to finish the game a second time since I did the expansion after I finished the game. I need to take my final save for the expansion and then finish the game one more time. I was like, oh, thanks for that information.
Is that like
and anyway,
to trigger like a new game plus or some import flag or something for the second game?
The import the quote unquote final world state is triggered once you beat the final boss, or after you make your decisions after you beat the final boss. And so it would have just only imported my pre-expansion playthrough. So, and what sucks is like that's a really fucking hard boss fight. And I haven't played the game in a while. But anyway, I fired it up again. And what's tough, like replaying games, is even if you love it, there are those handful of points where you're like, oh, I hate this part. Like Dragon Age, anytime you come up on the fade, you just want to quit because the fade is always the worst fucking part of those games. And like every great game has that part where you're like, ugh. And I hit that part in Pillars.
And henceforth referred to as the cloud in a wheelchair moment.
Oh my god, that was so bad. Yeah. But yeah, dude, I don't know. I was kind of beside myself with like, oh, I'm loving this game, and then bam, like face first into a brick wall. So again, I might drop that one too. We'll see. And then
may I suggest trying games you haven't finished?
Well, yeah. So that is the intent. It's just I don't know. Like I just I sometimes get. Well, I just get in states where I'm like I need like the comfort games, the games that feel familiar and at home. But the third one's way outside my comfort zone, which is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
I was hoping you would say Dance Dance Revolution.
No, but I played a shitload of Infinite at PAX. Because one of the cool things about PAX South or any PAX is they have the console area where it's like every console ever made, and you can check out a game and play as much as you want.
Hmm.
And so naturally, my oldest son was like, "We're gonna play Smash for 4 hours," and I was like, "Well, we can play for part of 4 hours." And then finally, he was like, "Well, I want something I can really kick your ass in." Um, and then yeah, I was like, "You know what? I've always had a soft spot for the Marvel versus Capcom games, like because mechanically they're mostly trash, um, but for people like me, they're pretty good." And so yeah, we fired up Infinite, and we had a great time. Um, I've eventually finally figured like the third match or so, I figured out how to actually do things. But yeah,
So,
I mean, go ahead.
yeah, you're probably the wrong person to ask on it, but everything that I heard was that Infinite was just
Bad?
absolutely terrible. Yeah, it was like like basically the graphics look worse than 3, but it still has weird frame rate issues. The roster is wonky. I think they got rid of all the X-Men characters,
Yes.
and it's to me the second game will always be sort of the pinnacle of that series, and even the third game, it just got to where it's just like a cluster. Like the second game, you had to be technically accurate to play well, and I
That's
know
the last
this.
one I played.
Yeah,
The music was so good too, man. That jazz.
the third game, I just once again it's there's games hit a point where my brain just goes, okay, nope, I don't, whatever the hell's happening, whatever. I can tell you what's going on. And that's the way 3 is for me, even when I watch like professional matches. Like there's so many, and professional matches from what I've seen come down to who gets the first hit and then does the infinite combo afterwards, which takes like a good like minute and a half or whatever due to
Well,
returns of damage.
I just mapped the combos to buttons, and I had a great time. So, I mean, I'm playing against a 12-year-old
Right.
who, but it's funny because like I mapped the combos and didn't tell him, and so he's like, "How did you do that? Tell me how you did that." And then
So
I
wait, a
finally,
whole string of combo, you just put it on X and then you press X and it does it?
hold on, let's see here.
They all have like an easy mode, so
Yeah, I mapped it. I mapped one to that button. I mapped another one to this trigger, and yeah, and so like, yeah, because back when Tony and I were still working at video game stores, I learned that from other employees that you can just map combos. I'm like, oh, that's so much better than actually pressing them.
well no what you saw back then was because I used to be really into competitive Tekken, and
Yep.
there's one guy who would map um like a combo of 2 buttons to one shoulder and 3 to another shoulder. So basically, there's a character in Tekken called King, and he's the wrestler guy. And
Yeah,
if
the
you,
one
I
with
know
the-
exactly the guy that you're talking about too. He was a Funcoland with us.
yeah, and the multi-part throws with King, if you look at the button inputs, you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like it's like press these 3 buttons, then wait for the perfect timing to hit these 2, then these 2, then these different 2, then these 3, then these 3. And he would map it to where he'd just have to roll across the 4 triggers, and he'd just do like the complete thing.
Alex is trying to correct me, and he's saying inputs, not combos. And actually, you're wrong, Alex, because the game told me they were combos that I was mapping. So take that.
So
I
what you mean is you press a button and it does the combo by itself. You don't have to do the combination.
Right.
if I remember right, and I think this might have been in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 also. It has like combo 1, combo 2, and that's what you assign to those buttons. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, I think it's actually combos. In the older like Tatsunoko versus Capcom and crap like that, you could assign it to easy mode where if you hit like up in one button, it was one of your supers. Down in the button was another super for. So basically, you could spam fireballs with Ryu by holding forward and just mashing a button. Like that was the old version, but I think that the newer Marvel vs. Capcom you could sign a combo.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a good time, and like during Ernesto's earlier Metal Gear Solid stream, which is every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Central. You should watch it. He was feeling bad about cheese dicking his way through an area, and I was like, no, cheese dick away. That is the best way to play games. Like, don't ever let yourself get challenged.
That's so horrible.
And actually, the only game that I think I like challenges in is maybe Disgaea, and like that's it. Or XCOM, actually, I like challenges in that. Okay, Alex says Street Fighter 4 3DS let you map it to 3DS. Bottom screen, that is.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, Ernesto, what you been playing?
All right, so I finished Wolfenstein 2.
Wow.
Yeah, I I actually played all 3 games like one after the other.
God, you haven't had sex in months, I bet.
But so real quick, final impressions. Really cool story, amazing graphics, really good sound. At times too gory, but it played the goriness with the comedy, which was weird, but it kind of downplayed the gore.
Huh.
At the end, like I thought the controllers were not as precise as the original two. Like in the original one, I felt so at ease with the controls, like doing headshots and popping out of cover and everything. And even though it was really similar, I don't know if it's because I was used to the other two by the time I jumped into this one, but I kind of found it harder to get into. And also the areas were more linear, whereas in the first two, especially Old Blood, I felt the areas were more open and like more fun to explore. Like I remember this part in Old Blood where it was a castle and you could go at any side of the castle to then open the main gate. And it was like it had a lot of interesting areas like that. So even though the story was way better and the presentation and everything, I didn't the actual gameplay I enjoyed more in the other two. Overall, a great game. I really had a lot of fun with it. Um, but yeah, after I finished that, I've been looking into what to play next. And the thing is this: I've been playing 3 Wolfensteins in a row, which are really gory. I've been watching Black Mirror,
Oh God.
which is really drab, and then I was watching Devilman Crybaby, which is an anime from Netflix, and it's extremely dark, especially the end. And I've been like emotionally gutted, so I'm like, I need to play something like really happy, and then watch SpongeBob every night before bed or something. So I've been trying to look at like happy games, and what I did first is I finished. I also finished SteamWorld Dig, the first one, and I had a lot of fun with it. But it wasn't until I jumped to the second one, which is the main game I'm playing right now, that I could see like how much the game grew from the first to the second. Where the first one was like really simple, the second one is like full on Metroidvania, awesome exploration, awesome music, great graphics. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. It's really addicting. The cycle of going down, exploring, going up with your rewards, and then getting better equipment, better upgrade to go further down and explore
So
new
here's
areas, new caves.
SteamWorld Dig is one of them that I always thought was like a procedurally generated. Am I wrong on that, or is that
No, well, it's kind of hard to explain because you create the procedurally generated map as you're digging around. It's you who creates the layout, but as I understand, everything isn't the same for everybody. It's a huge square of dirt with like things spread out all around the map, and then as you dig in, you create the pathways to get to those points. So, and then the second one is like that as well, but it has a better structure, and there's a lot of caves. And when you go into that cave is like a separate Metroidvania like map to explore. Um, it's just I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's really really fun to explore, and also keeping up with the cartoon and the happiness vibes instead of all the dark and blood. I actually booted up the Super Nintendo, and I'm playing the Super Nintendo Classic to be clear. And I booted up Super Mario RPG, which I never played before, and that was like exactly what I needed, man. Like as soon as I play that, it's just jolly vibes, good times, and like I've been playing the shooter for so long. I'm an RPG guy, so when I jumped into an RPG again, just it felt like wrapping up in a warm blanket on a cold day, man.
Yeah, either that or Earthbound should have satisfied it. There's an excellent selection of happy games on that system.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like I never played Super Mario RPG before.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of cool because I didn't know that it had the mechanic of the other Mario games, where, for example, if you do a punch attack, it's not only a
Introduced
matter of doing the command, you also have to press the button at the right moment to do extra damage. And the same thing goes if you're being attacked, you press at the right moment to block the attack. So I just tried it out of like muscle memory because I played Mario and Luigi, I played Paper Mario, I played all of those. I just didn't play the original one. So I tried it, and when I saw it work, I was like, "Oh man, they had implemented this since the very first one. That's so awesome!"
which
Uh,
actually did with SquareSoft.
yeah,
I
man.
was going to say that's exactly what I was going to say. Like that's actually a Square game.
So I'm really impressed with the game. Like the combat is actually super tight. I like the exploration. I like the characters. The Mario humor is there. But it does feel like a Square game. Like the other ones are very distinctly Nintendo. This one has those Super Nintendo Square vibes, and I'm just having a
That's
blast
actually
with it.
Yeah, that's the only one that I ever finished. I tried the first Paper Mario and I just couldn't get into it. I mean, it's just personal preference. I could see why people loved
Right.
but Mario RPG I loved when it first came out. That was one though that I see it on the system and I don't know if I ever want to replay it, but I remembered having a really good time with it. Earthbound's in the same bucket, and I don't know why that I can replay Final Fantasy, but not like the more whimsical ones like that.
Mm. Well, I did like the original Paper Mario, which was on 64, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I did enjoy the GameCube one a lot. The Thousand Year Door, that one I really, really like. And
So fun. Good.
the other one I like was Mario and Luigi on the Game Boy Advance. But I never played the original, so it's like it's really cool to go back and like knowing how the series is now, seeing how it all started, even though it was with Square. It's been a really cool experience. And man, to play a Super Nintendo RPG that you never played before is it's like such a great treat.
No, no doubt. But fun fact for those keeping score at home: Paper Mario was the final game that I bought with my employee discount. Like the day that like my last day at Funco Land, before I moved to Chicago to go to college.
Cool.
Oh boy, that extra 10% off.
Was that? No, we got a bigger discount than that, didn't we?
It's 10%.
Only on strategy guides.
Oh my
It was a
Wow.
full discount.
Didn't even cover the tax, man.
Jesus. Now I want my fucking money back now. But yeah, actually, Paper Mario, like, God, there's so many games I say this about. I played for like an hour or two and then never touched it again. But yeah, Super Mario RPG though, I never finished it, but I do remember playing it, and I remember being really impressed that that was a Super Nintendo game with the graphics.
Well,
And
that was after Donkey Kong Country, so they were big on that
yeah,
style for a
Right.
little bit.
And also, what I really like about it is that it's the Super Nintendo Mario, and I don't know if I'm crazy to say this or think this way, but to me, the Super Nintendo era Mario like feels so different from the one now. Like he
yeah,
was like shorter, chubbier, and he was that way in Mario Kart, Super Mario World, and then in this one too. Like even though it's different games graphically, like it has that same Mario vibe. I really dig it.
You know,
do it.
this is something I just remembered one other thing that I played this week, and it sort of ties into this. I had got the Super Luigi U disc
Ooh.
on a Wii U, and I had never, it was standalone, and I was just like, I forgot why I never played this, and I popped it in, And I guess the gimmick is you only have 100 seconds to complete any level.
Right, you
So
have to
it
speed
starts
run
off
them.
with that friggin' music that's just like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Stresses me out.
Huh.
Like I just remembered why I never played through it, but that game is hard. Like I don't know what the hell. I only got through like the first 2 worlds, and I was like, I'm just getting stressed out by this.
Now, one of the best moments of PAX South was my son and I made him sit down at an NES Classic with me, and I was like, I'm going to show you some shit right now. And first thing I did was break out Ninja Gaiden because he'd been talking all kinds of shit about how good he was at video games. And I was like, oh, really? And then fucking Ninja Gaiden is on the NES Classic, and I'm like, this is probably one of the hardest games ever made. And I used to beat it every weekend for like 2 years. And he was like, oh, whatever. And I was like, here, try it. And then he's like inching his way through the first level, dying repeatedly. So first he runs out of lives. And so he starts the level over, and then he's like inching his way through it, fucking runs out of time. And I'm like, I've never seen anyone run out of time in a fucking Ninja Gaiden level. I was like, you suck. And I was like, here, why don't you let your old man do it?
And then you died in 2 seconds.
No. I actually beat the first level
Oh,
and then died within 2 seconds on the next.
Okay.
No, which level is it? The third level that has the blowing wind?
I think that's Ninja Gaiden 2 with
Oh
the
god,
blue.
I just remember I hated that. That one I almost ran out of time on.
Well, that one was hard, but there was also the birds.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
the reason why you had to worry about the wind and thank you, Ernesto. We didn't have a good enough view of your Christmas tree.
Oh
So-
yeah. No worries.
so yeah.
It's a splendor.
But,
Yeah, what were you saying?
no, and then the other thing was we played the first Super Mario Brothers,
Oh, cool.
and he ran out of time on that one. And I remember he ran out of time on the first level, and he just yells. He's like, "What the shit is that?" And I was like, "You ran out of time, man." I was like, "You got to be quicker and quick cussing." But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the only reason so my 5-year-old runs out of time, but that's because he cannot do running and jumping at the same time. It's the weirdest skill to try and teach. And what's funny is it's not an issue in the 3D games. So like something like Skylanders, right? He's fine in that game, but it's a weird skill. The idea of holding one button and then hitting another while you're holding it was really something that's almost been lost over time. I'm sure it is in a lot of the more technical games, but in like the 3D platformers and stuff, it's weird.
Right.
It's actually easier on the NES because like they're concave instead of convex, the buttons. So it's easier to actually roll from B to A. Like when you want to go from run to jump.
Yeah, because I was trying to teach him on like the Wii remote sideways because I was having
Yeah,
a new Mario Brothers and crap.
that's a lot harder on that one. Give me a second. I'm gonna grab a soda real quick. I'll be right back. If you guys want to talk amongst yourselves.
How long is Mario RPG?
Oh God, I can't remember.
'Cause-
I want to say it's like 20 hours.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Because like I don't want to get into a long game right now, and I'm like, man, I hope this is like I'm having a good time with it, but I also hope it's not like a 30+ hour game. So, but I haven't checked how long to beat yet. So
If I remember, the only thing that's sort of weird and is unexpected because of the tone of the game is there was a point where I had to grind for levels because there's some boss fight that could stomp you.
I did notice that because I only played the first area, that the enemies are not respawning. So is it that you have to complete every single enemy before you move on, or do enemies respawn once you return to the area?
Boy, I'm having to pull this from the memory banks now. I to be honest, I don't know. I just remember there being some boss fight that I found difficult, and I thought that I needed to grind for it. Now, I don't remember there being a special stipulation for how to do that. I thought that it was like Chrono Trigger, where it was once you got outside of an area and went back,
They
would
would
spawn
reappear.
like in the
Okay.
same spots, but I could be wrong.
I'll just make sure to try to grind as much as possible, so I don't have to grind in the end. But yeah, like to be that's the good thing about Super Nintendo RPGs too. Like they tend to be shorter, so like to be able to just knock out a good RPG in 20 something hours, it's great.
Just don't play Final Fantasy VI then.
Oh yeah, well that one like I want to say like it can be done in like 30ish.
Yeah, I mean, if
Not properly.
Because I want to say I put like 30 hours into it, and I was in the end. But then again, that's when I was gonna start doing all the side quests, the end game side quests. So I don't
yeah,
know.
if you skip the side quests, otherwise, I think mine where I did everything, even like farming economizers for everybody and crap, I think was 60.
Okay, Chrono
So
Trigger is not that long either, right? It's
no, Chrono Trigger on my last playthrough where I did everything. I mean, not New Game Plus, but I did all the side quests. I think was only like 18 hours.
No, really?
Yeah, it's weird. I remembered it being much longer, but I did
Same here.
everything in it. I want to say I came in under 20 hours.
Wow.
And that was beating
Wow.
Black Omen 3 times so I could max out on my rainbow helms and the prism dress and crap. But
Wow.
So my wife informs me because she's listening in that Mario RPG how long to beat marks in 15 to 17 hours.
Okay.
So that's actually pretty cool. But yeah, I plan to play those two for now and just have good happy vibes because I was trying actually tried two other games real quick. I tried Assassin's Creed some more, but even though like I was having fun exploring, when I opened up the map and I saw that I was in this tiny ass corner and it's a huge area and I got like, oh, I got overwhelmed. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this right now. I want to play something short. And then I booted up Witcher, knowing it's a long ass game, but I booted it up because I wanted to see it in 4K with all the improvements. And boy, that game is beautiful, man. But yeah, I played a little bit too, and I was like, man, this is kind of long. So SteamWorld Dig, I know it's a short game, and then Mario RPG, it looks like it's gonna be a short RPG. So those two right now are the perfect thing for me to play and just rewind and clear my mind of all the blood that I saw in Wolfenstein and all this other stuff.
until he gets into Final Fantasy Dissidia.
Right.
So back when Tony and I were in college together, there, I maybe because I was just young and like looking for punishment, or I don't know, but I used to occasionally look at this site called ogrish.com, and it was basically like dead bodies after like horrible accidents and shit. And
Yeah.
and like right, and like so I remember there's one where someone had like hit the median on a highway doing like 100 something miles an hour and then like smashed and like anyway, just horrible shit. And then after like three or four corpses, I'd be like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I looking at this? And then I would literally do a Google search for cute kittens. And then I would just like look at pictures of cute kittens for like take whatever time I was looking at Ogrish and then double it. That was how long I needed to look at like cute baby animals and shit. Like I don't know. But yeah, there's a great Netflix series you need to called Dark. You need to watch called Dark, but not anytime soon.
That's the thing. Like, now I'm trying to figure out what show to watch, and then next on my list because I have a huge backlog. I was like, okay, my next two series on my list are either Man in the High Castle or Hannibal season 3. Like, man, this is like,
Well, but
I need something happy.
Well, Man in the High Castle is nowhere near as dark as the stuff you've been watching. Like it's more interesting. It's more science fiction than anything.
Okay.
There's bad shit that happens to people, but you know, but you know, Carlos pointed out there's a new Godzilla series on Netflix,
Okay.
and I think it's based on Shin Godzilla. I can't remember, but I watched like the first 40 minutes or so, and it was utter nonsense, but still looks pretty interesting.
Okay.
So, but anyway, if you guys got no problem, I'm gonna talk about PAX South a little bit now.
No, go ahead.
So PAX
real
South,
quick.
yeah.
I'm sorry, man. My
Yeah.
wife just sends me another comment. Chrono Trigger. It's apparently 45 hours if you do the completionist run with all the endings. So
see, that's
even
not,
doing everything, it's not that long.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe if you're trying to get every ending, but if in a single playthrough doing all the side quests, like I said, under 20.
Okay.
Because for some reason I had 30 to 35 stuck in my head for Chrono Trigger. But
Well, that's why I said I didn't do any new game pluses. I didn't max out everybody with all the tabs or anything like that. But
okay. But PAX South 2018 was my first PAX. There are people like Jay that go to PAX East every year. I think John Ortiz goes every year to PAX East also. And like they've always said good things about it, but they're way too, yeah, I've been here before, that kind of thing about it. But so PAX South is a totally different beast, just based on what I've heard about Prime and East. So PAX South. Okay, first of all, let me back up. If you're going to PAX and you're expecting something like E3, they're nothing alike. E3 is an industry event, and if you're covering it, it is literally there are times where you will be literally running from one appointment to another. And E3 is just intense and intense and intense and intense. PAX is not. Like, the most intensity you'll have is waiting in line. And because I hate waiting, so I get intense while waiting because I'm like, these fucking people want to see this thing that I also want to see. But anyway, PAX South is different from the other PAXs in that it has a lower attendance. All signs point to the show continuing, because that was actually something I was concerned about before, like after last year's, because it's only 3 days. The other ones are 4 days. But what I loved about the fact that it's like a kind of a smaller thing is that obviously then the population's lower, which means that you're spending less time shoulder to shoulder with people. And so we got there Thursday. We did some exploration of San Antonio. The area where the show takes place, or the expo takes place, is gorgeous. It's an area called Riverwalk, and it's literally a river, and you walk along it, and it's beautiful. The Alamo is right there. It was a great little town. And then the expo itself, Friday we started out with a keynote by Alex Schwartz from Alchemy Games. They made Job Simulator, and he spent an hour just sharing tales about working in VR, and they're absolutely hilarious. They had a lot of great videos of just stupid shit happening in VR. Told stories about how they got started in VR. Valve wanted a demo at GDC in 1 week, and they were like, okay. And then they literally were locked in a room for a week with this jury-rigged headset that if you touch the wrong parts of it will electrocute you. And then Gabe and Tycho came out, or I say Mike Krahulik and Jerry Holkins came out, did their Q&A. That was like tears in my eyes laughing because they're so funny.
Cool.
And then from there, we finally went and explored the exhibition hall where the actual floor show is, and it's huge. It is absolutely huge. The most popular game there, which we'll talk about a little bit later, was Monster Hunter World. I actually took pictures of like their demo space because it was this giant fucking dragon, and then like lots of nerds lined up around it. And to the point where I was like, I'm not even gonna fuck with it. Like, I'm playing the beta in a few days, so and I got the game. Ernesto made me pre-order the game, so
yeah.
But yeah, like so Friday. So if you're ever going to PAX South, Friday, do a blend of panels and exhibition hall. Saturday is the high population day. Like, Saturday annoyed me, so we ended up doing panels almost the entire day because there were just too many fucking people for me to deal with.
How does the panels work? Do you have to get a pre-ticket or something, or do you just show up?
You show up. I will say, if you've ever done a convention before, then if you think a panel sounds absolutely amazing, odds are several thousand other people do too. So what's nice is the theaters that they did the panels in, there wasn't a bad seat. And still, like, so for the main theater, they had rows where you would line up, and they called them chutes. And so my rule for the show became, if there was a panel that I wanted to see in the main theater, and the first chute was already filled up, I went ahead and got in line. And that generally was actually a pretty good rule. And so like I said, Saturday is the high population day. And if you are like me and you get annoyed with crowds, then just do, like, the best panels are usually that day too. So just go do panels, and it's a good time. Patrick Rothfuss's panel was also absolutely hysterical. He's a really smart, funny guy. He's part of Acquisitions Incorporated. He's also a fantasy author. And Acquisitions Incorporated is the ongoing D&D game that Penny Arcade does, and like they'll rotate celebrities in and out. And so like sometimes Will Wheaton's part of it, sometimes Patrick Rothfuss is part of it. Morgan Webb, Felicia Day. I'm trying to think who else I've seen.
What is Morgan Webb doing nowadays? Is she like a developer now? Because I saw like
she founded her own studio.
Okay.
Her husband created something.
Some trying to game.
No. It was like something in the music industry. It was like one of the music services. Like he created one of the music services and then sold it for like $1 bajillion.
iTunes.
No, it wasn't Napster, but it was, I don't know. It was something like of that era, but regardless. But she, so, ex-Planet, she actually went over to Blizzard for a while. And she did stuff for Blizzard. And then, now she has her own studio. So Acquisitions Incorporated, they do it every PAX. And it's awesome. It's funny, like, because like all the people that do it have played a lot of D&D before, and they're very, very, like, it's a really funny thing to watch.
It's a panel where you watch them play a game of D&D.
Yep, it's 3 hours long, and it's awesome.
That's the thing. Like when somebody told me, "Oh, watch somebody play D&D," I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" It's actually so damn fun. Like when you see like the way people have to react and everything, it's so great. And it just makes me really want to have somebody to play D&D with,
Yeah, well, like hopefully we'll get a Rejects game going eventually.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
There's also Acquisitions Incorporated, the C Team. That one is led by Jerry Holkins, otherwise known as Tycho. Like he's the DM on that one. And the 4 people that play with him, like the 4 players, are voice actors. And one of them is Laura Bailey, who's actually done Final Fantasy stuff. I think she's done some Star Wars voice acting. And the rest of them, actually, Kate Welch, who's part of that, she got promoted to the main Acquisitions Incorporated. And so her character, Rosie Beestinger, is actually in both, which is kind of funny. But anyway, and so Saturday's busy. We did panels all day, including Acquisitions Incorporated. Also, they did the Penny Arcade draw a strip on stage thing, which was amazing to watch because I'm not an artist at all. And just watching Mike Krahulik actually draw the strip live and like the various stages of drawing it was really cool. Jerry answered did more Q&A questions while he was doing it. And then we also did a Godzilla panel that day. Like that was that of anything that we were seeing there. That was the one that my son was like, "Motherfucker, we are seeing this panel come hell or high water."
Okay.
And so I ended up leaving Acquisitions Incorporated early to make sure that we could see Godzilla. And that was a Godzilla and gaming panel. The guys didn't really have their shit together, but it was still interesting. We also saw one that day about why people choose to game alone. And for me, I was like, hey, that's me. And it was cool because they actually got into a lot of the mental health aspects. They talked about like anxiety, like social anxiety. being an introvert versus being an extrovert. And there was a lot of great shit that I was like, oh my God, I actually relate to a lot of this. And like they had a couple psychologists, and then like, you know, some people like notable gaming community people that suffer from anxiety. So, and then Sunday was exhibition floor all day. And Sunday's the lowest population day, so that's the best day to hit the floor. Granted, everyone's tired, but that also kind of helps. So, overall, it was an amazing experience. I fully intend to go back next year.
I want to see if I can go with you next year.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're talking about getting a group, and like I was talking to my wife about it, and I was like, we should get a group and then just get a bunch of adjoining rooms in the hotel.
That'd be awesome.
And yeah, and
I'm sure my wife would like to go. So.
Yeah, I mean, and again, what's the best part about it is that it's chill. Like, it wasn't real high. It's a shitload of walking.
Because I may do Comic-Con this year, and I know that's gonna be crazy. So it's gonna be cool to then try a more chill event, you know.
Which Comic-Con?
New York.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, let's talk offline about that, because I might have some things for you. Yeah, like PAX South, it's super chill. It was an amazing experience. My final takeaways from it. First of all, the games of note. Obviously, Pillars of Eternity 2 look great. I purposely didn't really do much with it because even though I have the backer beta, I'm staying away from it because I want to go in fresh. But getting to talk to Mikey Dowling and Katrina Garston about it was amazing. It was the first time that I'd talked to people that knew more about Pillars of Eternity than me. And really, it was such a weird experience. And on top of that, like, and mostly with Katrina, like I was kind of almost fanboying out because she does a lot of the backer updates on YouTube. And so I've only ever known her as like this person on YouTube, you know, and then seeing her standing in front of me was so strange. I was like,
were you starstruck?
No, not starstruck, but definitely like a little bit of fanboy. Like I started a couple times, and then I got really self-conscious, and then I was like, I'm gonna go play the demo.
Pillar's good.
But the funniest part is Lincoln, my oldest son, during breakfast one of the days there was like, Pillars of Eternity and Divinity Original Sin are old man games. And I was like, oh, really? And so I dragged his ass over to the Obsidian booth and was like, okay, motherfucker, try one of the demo units. And he loved it. There was a 30-minute timer on them. And so the first time he timed out just as he was finishing character creation and was like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah.
So the next time he's like, can I do it again? And I was like, Katrina, Mikey, is that cool? They're like, yeah, go ahead. I mean, it was Sunday, so, you know, yeah. And so he blew through character creation because he knew what he wanted this time. And then was like, actually, this is kind of cool. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like I love these games. And he was like, but it's too much talking.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, can I just kill one of these people? And I'm like, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, you shouldn't. You will be murdered within seconds, but, you know. And he proceeded to get murdered within seconds, but then went through a third time. And then actually was like, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to kill all these guys right here and then duck into this hut. And then they'll be forced through this choke point. And I'm like, oh my God, like he's my son. Oh my God. And so he was actually using strategy to do what he shouldn't be doing. And I was telling Katrina, Mikey, I'm like, you should go watch this. Like I'm kind of impressed. And they're like, yeah, well, you know, we built the game to be flexible. I'm like, apparently that includes killing all the quest givers, but okay.
This kind of sounds like my playthrough of Morrowind.
Oh, yeah. God, it was Jeff Green or somebody years ago. Got wasted one night and then fired up their Oblivion playthrough, and then like slaughtered every villager in some city and didn't remember doing it, and then booted up their save the next day and they're like, "What the fuck did I do?" And but yeah, otherwise, I want to give props to Rick Lags from Warhorse Studios because he actually took the time to give me a private demo for Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is out next month. And it's a hyper realistic RPG. And I mean, I'll be honest, I had some concerns about it, just based on some of the stuff I was reading about the combat and all that. And he actually sat down with me and was like, "Let me alleviate all your concerns. Like, throw all your tough questions at me. We'll address them all right now." And he did. Like, he actually he painstakingly walked me through the combat. It is complex.
Like 13 hours.
What? I didn't hear you.
You talk for 13 hours?
No, he got it done in a little over 30 minutes.
Okay, cool.
But
Kingdom Come, that's a sequel, isn't it?
no,
Is it?
nope. It's a new franchise from a bunch of ex CD Projekt Red developers. It superficially looks a lot like The Witcher,
Okay.
but take The Witcher and make it hyper realistic 1400s Bohemia, and the game is incredibly complex in terms of all the modifiers that go into your experience. And so, like, you can go into battle wearing like kind of light armor, but if you take an arrow, like, depending on where the arrow hits, I mean, it's almost like Bushido blade, where like depending on like where you get hit, like you will either have limited functionality of that.
What if you
Or
got
no
hit on the knee?
It's funny. I actually asked him that, and then like he actually showed me like his character having taken damage there, and you limp. And yeah, and then there's shit like, if you get hit in the face with an arrow, you're dead.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah, and then the combat like is like you are targeting specific parts of the body, and if you're wearing a suit of armor and you have a helmet, your vision is limited to the eye slits.
Oh wow.
And but on top of that
Like,
too,
Deep Silver's bringing it out too. They did the Sacred games, right?
they published Sacred, yeah.
So are they just-
Warhorse, yeah, Deep Silver's just the publisher.
Okay.
And then yeah, Warhorse is the developer. Well, they've been around for 2 or 3 years now since they've been developing this. But yeah, I was really impressed with the demo. I've had the backer beta for a while, but again, only played it a little bit. Like, I wanted to go in fresh. But like the questing, all of that, and like one of the things that he pointed out that was so neat was he's like, "You are not going to be king. You are not going to be this big, huge, important guy. Like, you're a blacksmith's son, and then you might end up being a soldier or something. But like, they wanted to keep it very, very grounded. So that was super cool. That's next month. I can't wait to see it.
So let me ask you, Blaine, because you have described yourself as a gamer who does not like challenge, who will cheat through anything. How do you feel about a game that's so realistic that one arrow can kill you?
Well, he
We'll
doesn't
see.
like challenge unless he's humble bragging about Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, right.
There you go. Jeremy says, when I was about 12, I played Ultima 6. I figured out you can kill the plate-wearing guards in Britannia in the guard huts with powder kegs, then channel them into a house nearby to fully gear all my guys in plate and make a shit ton of gold selling their armor and weapons. See, now that is cheese digging, and I love it.
That's actually a cool strategy.
Well, yeah,
That's fantastic.
the Morrowind thing where there was a shop where you shouldn't have been able to buy crap. What was the top tier armor in those games? Daedric or something?
Bone mold? No.
I know glass was a high end one, wasn't it?
What was?
Glass.
Yeah, well, and part of the problem here is I'm getting Morrowind and Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind like crossed in my head because it's the same area and same armor sets, except one's in.
Yeah, that was one of them where you could basically just like rob a shop blind, be decked out, because you always wonder that in a lot of those games. It's just like, oh, well, I see people in like the best armor in the game. Why can't I just take it? And that was like my first game playing that style, where it was like, oh, Well, I can get it like right off the bat, and then I can start
And,
murdering everybody because when they see it, they know I stole it.
and I hated how limited shopkeepers were in terms of their funds. Like I'm like, I've got 80,000 worth of shit that's weighing me down. Please buy it all. And they're like, I've got like 800 gold pieces. I'm like, you fucking motherfucker. Um, yeah, that always drove me crazy. Trying to think if there's anything else about PAX South. There was one other game. Oh, the VR presence was actually really high. And I didn't really care about trying any of the VR demos. Like I'm cool with VR. Like I'm eager to have it become an awesome thing. But my oldest boy was like, every fucking booth that had VR, he's like, we gotta try it. We gotta try it. I'm like, okay. And there were some that were actually pretty cool. Like there was one that was like a parkour game, and so the locomotion was swinging your arms like this, and it actually worked really well. I was because there was the best part is, and like I sort of subtly like filmed the guy with my phone. There was one dude who was like,
Yeah,
way
really
into
into it. I saw that.
yeah, and I posted that on Facebook. I
Yeah,
felt
I
kind of
see
bad.
his face too. I was like, yeah, let's do this.
But yeah, he's in there. He's like, and just
I'm not fucking around.
right, yeah, and like, and the best part is Lincoln beat him in the fucking race. Like, and oh my god, it was just, and the guy, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was an amazing experience. I highly recommend it. It's exhausting, but it's so cool. It's such a good time. I really wish there'd been one more day. Um, I don't know. It's funny because like halfway through Sunday, I was just done. I still wanted more, but I was like, I need to get into better shape before I do this next year.
Mm.
Excuse me. But yeah, so I know I'm going to remember something I want to say later, but I don't know.
Real quick, because I couldn't stop thinking about it. Morgan Webb's husband, what he did was Rhapsody.
Oh, that's what it was. I knew it was one of those music services. Yeah.
Man, that takes me back, man.
Yeah. Well, and like, yeah, because I remember the Rhapsody player would like stealth install on every computer I had.
Right.
And I would get so angry because I'm like, nobody likes fucking Rhapsody. I always used God, what Tony, help me out here because we used the same one.
I don't even remember using one.
No, an MP3 player, like early.
The Winamp.
Winamp, thank you. Yeah,
yeah, Winamp was good.
It really whips the llama's ass.
And oh my god, like it takes me back. So yeah, because I had that, and then I had the like you could unify all the different chat clients into one client, and so I always had that open and Winamp open
Are you
all the
talking
time.
like MIRC?
But it was all of them. It was like a water name or something. I think I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I don't
where
know,
you
but
have like your ICQ and your AIM and all that
Yep.
crap combined into one. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was super cool. And then at the very, very end of its life, it started integrating gaming chat clients, and then like everyone stopped caring. But there was a gaming one too. There was a gaming specific one.
Xfire.
Xfire, yes. Is that still around? Actually,
No, I don't think so. I think
it
that
might
and
be.
GameSpy died.
Oh, GameSpy. Blech.
For a while, that was like the only way to launch multiplayer games, unless you wanted to type in the IP address of a server each time.
I think Xfire's done. Was a proprietary freeware instant messaging service for gamers. And let's see, when did it die? I'm so curious here. 2016.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, I remember a point in time seeing something like, "Hey, do you want to download Xfire?" And I'm like, "That motherfucker's still around? Seriously?" But yeah, so I think that's all I have to say for now about PAX South. And I like there was so much more, but like I'm just so I don't bore everyone to death. But yeah, so the final beta for Monster Hunter World is out today. Ernesto, I know you're getting Monster Hunter World. Tony, you getting it?
No interest whatsoever.
Wrong.
Here,
Why?
Well, here's the thing. It's a game that I appreciate, but I know I will never put the time into it to get good at it.
It does require a lot of timing.
So
All right, so go ahead.
that's why I know that you will drop it pretty damn quick.
Hey, eat my ass.
It was. I'm still laughing about it because Blaine was like, "Okay, describe what Monster Hunter is," and I'm like, "Well, Monster Hunter is basically you go out and you hunt monsters, and then it's really like it has a lot of details to it. So you gotta prepare, you gotta cook food, you gotta do this and that, blah blah blah." And he's like, "Oh man, that sounds really interesting." And then 1 hour later, he sends me a screenshot of the purchase confirmation. Hey, I bought it. I'm like, "What the hell? I haven't even bought it yet, man."
Well, okay, so the biggest selling point for me for Monster Hunter World, and like I'll be honest, this is very different from what I usually play in my old age years. The biggest selling point, like I was watching, Ernesto's video of it, and a detail jumped out at me, which is that it's all boss fights. And I was like, oh my God, that is the game I've been wanting for years. Because if there's one thing I absolutely hate in games, it is trash mobs. Now, granted, I play a lot of MMOs, and the MMO genre is disappointingly still reliant on trash mobs for a lot of its content because it slows the game down, and you're spending more time in the game because of them, and it's just they give you XP, blah 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 blah. Whereas, like, I've said for years, if I can have a game that's nothing but boss fights, I want that. And I figured
it's not only just boss fights; it's like the best boss encounters you'll ever play. It's like so great. And sometimes even other bosses show up and you fight, and then they fight together. Oh man, can't wait.
see, that sounds great. And like I said, I was watching your video of it. I'm like, oh man, like this looks really interesting and outside what I normally play, and but close enough to what I normally play that I will understand it.
Okay.
I mean, because you got gear and stats and the real time combat's going to be the hardest part for me. But I mean, I got through it in The Witcher 3.
It takes a lot to get used to because also every weapon like controls totally different. So it's a learning curve.
So Jeremy says that doesn't surprise me, Ernesto. Every game I've ever talked to Blaine about in person, I've watched him whip out his phone and purchase on Steam, and then never actually seen him play.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do have kind of a history. Yeah, like it's embarrassing because he has seen me do that more than once. You see, Jeremy, you just got to play more single player MMOs, and then we can just play in parallel and then talk about it. But yeah, he plays a lot of like online multiplayer stuff, and it's good stuff. It's just, given the choice between, a long single player game and a long multiplayer game. Even though actually Ghost Recon Wildlands, we do need to actually play because that is a fucking cool game.
Hey, you're waiting. You're gonna try Bridge Crew with me before you try Wildlands. Come on.
Sure. Jeremy says, I started Pillars of Eternity. Yeah, and actually, it's funny. I was playing Pillars of Eternity, then I saw him start playing it. I was like, oh, God, I hope he knows that's not multiplayer. But yeah, so I'm actually super excited to talk to him about that, and especially if he can sustain a playthrough. I'm not making fun of him. It's just, it's kind of like me, where Ghost Recon Wildlands is outside my safe space. That's Pillars is very much outside his. But yeah, so Monster Hunter World, there'll be a lot of rejects playing it, both in the beta and in the final game that comes out next weekend. And we'll probably do some like rejects events or something like that, like where we will somehow coordinate to find a time when all of us are not working. So maybe like 2 a.m. on a Saturday.
Line.
And I think most of us are on PlayStation for it. Now, Ernesto, you're buying the game, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because
Definitely
like when you said you hadn't bought it yet, I was like, oh shit.
Because I buy stuff when it comes out, like normal people.
See, like I'm the Mike Torres of Steam, and I'm going to confess something to you guys. While you were talking about World of Final Fantasy,
No way.
It, if you if you go back and watch the video of this stream, you'll see me do this.
That is great. That's awesome, dude.
Steam?
What?
Is it out on Steam?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
okay. Wow.
Well, because I did this, I'm like, is it on Steam? Oh, it is. And then, and then yeah, and then it was done.
Oh man! Well, in that case, I hope you enjoy it, man. I had a lot of fun. I haven't played more of it, but what I played was really good.
No, in 2 or 3 years, I'm sure I'll love it.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I have a problem, but well, because okay, so like you guys were talking about, or Tony was saying, oh, it's Dissidia is Final Fantasy, and I love Final Fantasy, so I had to play Dissidia. And I'm like Final Fantasy, except I like the RPG versions. And I was like, oh, a good classic Final Fantasy. Done. Jeremy says, I played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and the Ultima series got me started into PC gaming as a preteen. I do like top-down RPGs. I just fell away from them for a bit. Dude, exact same thing here. Exact same thing with me. And in fact, actually, Pillars of Eternity was what pulled me back in. And then from Pillars, I went to Wasteland 2, and then to...
I remember you went on a bench of those kind of CRPGs.
Yeah, then Divinity Original Sin, and then Torment, and then Original Sin 2, and then now... Oh, another thing, the last thing about PAX South. Pillars of Eternity 2 still does not have a release date, and the original FIG campaign had said spring 2018. And this is not to be an asshole to Obsidian, but I was like, they don't ever hit their release dates. Like that's kind of like what they're known for, in addition to making great games. And so I said to Mikey, I was like, dude, you guys are not hitting spring 2018. And he's like, we are hitting Q1 2018. I'm like, come on, man. You don't even have a date yet. I was like, look, it's cool. Like, I'm not judging you.
You are an asshole.
Well, and I was like, I said, like, there's no way you guys are making spring 2018. Like, you don't have a date yet. You're not going to make it. And he was like, no, dude. And I'm like, look, it's cool. Like, spring 2019 is totally fine as long as the game is awesome, like Pillars 1 was, which was like 18 months late.
When Pillars 2 comes out, riddled with bugs, and there are all sorts of complaints, some guy's going to be like, well, I bet some dude named Blaine that we could make Q1.
Well, and what's okay, so like so Pillars 1, they released like 18 months later, something like that. And it was relatively bug-free. And it was fantastic. And so Pillars 2, because there's no publisher, at least in the States, I have to believe that that's going to be a similar situation, where it releases when it's ready, and which apparently now another advantage with this one too is all the assets and like engine and everything were done before they even started, and they only went to FIG when they were on the home stretch apparently. So
okay,
maybe. So yeah, but a Monster Hunter World beta is going to happen, and actually as soon as we're done here, I'm going to hop on and just poke around a little bit. And yeah, if you got PS Plus, it's free to download this weekend and try out. And Ernesto, how expansive have the betas been?
So I played it 2 times now. It had 3 different missions with the beginner, intermediate, and hardcore difficulty. If you just do that, you're cool. But also, at each one, there's a secret boss that does not count for anything. Like, there's not a mission to defeat him, but you can totally fight him. But you really have to know your shit to be able to go in them. So I would say it actually has quite a a lot of good content for a beta. You're gonna be spending a lot of time in it, and this latest version has an X request, I believe, a new boss.
Huh. Okay.
And then as you do the quest, you'll get items for the real game when it comes out at the end of the month.
So my last question for you: did you know Lost Sphere was coming out next week?
Yes.
Motherfucker! Like, I don't even know how I accidentally stumbled on that secret information.
Oh, I didn't want you to
Like-
buy it and then not play it.
Well, and you know what happened as soon as I saw it was out on Tuesday.
Oh no! Somebody take his damn iPhone.
And
No, but
Yes.
like, here's the thing. What happened was I like I Am Setsuna, but when it came out, I had such high hopes for it, and I don't know if you remember, we talked about it. Like when I
Yep.
played it, I was like, there's something missing. There's like a soul is missing from this game. Like it was like, and I was talking with this to one of my friends, Alex from our group,
right.
and he was like, this looks like a game where it wasn't like they were thinking, oh, hey, let's make this game and it's gonna have this and this. This looks like a game where Squaresoft said, hey, do this, and they're like, okay, so they did it.
It was slavish in its devotion to Chrono Trigger.
So basically, this was like a modern day Septerra Core.
Wow, there's a reference. Oh my god, I actually own that game.
No, but I feel like, even though like I kept playing and I really enjoyed the mechanics, and the story actually turned out to be pretty decent.
Hey, check your mic. You're really busted up. Say something again.
Something again.
Okay, yeah, you're still like really glitchy.
Oh
with your
no,
sound.
happened real at the end.
You remember? Yeah, his internet goes wonky with like 8 minutes to go each time.
Hold on.
Yeah, it's like someone fires up their HD porn stream in your building, like at the same. Yeah.
How about
Oh,
now?
yeah, you're better.
Okay, cool. What was I saying? So I Am Setsuna got really good towards the end. Like, and I realized at the end, like I was happy that I played it. It wasn't like an amazing game, but it was a decent B game. And that's all it was. But I enjoyed my time with it. Now, Love Sphere was announced, and I'm like, man, I hope that they learn from the original, and then this is something that they are like passionate about, or they're like they really wanted to do this, and it's not something they were ordered to do. And I tried the demo. It's out on Switch. If you guys want to try it out, for those that has the Switch. And I'm playing it, and I'm like, man, I'm getting the same kind of soulless vibe here going on. So that's when I decided I was actually gonna hold off from buying it, and I'm gonna wait out the reviews and then give it a couple of months because I have a lot of stuff to play, and we'll see how it goes. And it looked like it was gonna be another I Am Setsuna, like nothing exciting, but like decent to play. So that's why I didn't say anything.
It's too late now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has some element of like Magitech armor,
Yeah.
which I was reading.
It's actually really cool the way it plays out in combat. Combat is actually the best, the like the positive thing I got from it in the demo, because the way it works is you have attacks, different types of attacks, and they have different AOEs. So before you attack, you can move, and it'll show you like the area that it's covered, and then you can actually get to like 3 or 4 enemies under that area, and then combine it with the other guy that's going next and pull up combos that way. It's really cool.
Yeah, and like I think like what I was hoping for from Tokyo RPG Factory. Yeah, for those who don't know, these games are developed by Tokyo RPG Factory and published by Square Enix. And Tokyo RPG Factory is an internal studio that was created for the express purpose of making old style 16-bit-ish era Square RPGs, but new ones. And so like Lost Sphere, or not Lost Sphere, I Am Setsuna was like mechanically leans heavily into Chrono Trigger to the point where there are attacks that are literally the same name.
The same thing, yeah.
And what I was hoping from this studio was kind of what we saw with Obsidian and Pillars of Eternity and In Exile and Wasteland 2, where they're making games that are evocative of this old style and definitely like have a lot of design conceits, relative to this old style, but infuse like new energy and like a lot of new ideas into them too, which in the case of Pillars and Wasteland 2 is definitely the case. And then
maybe this is a weird, it just prompted a thought when you mentioned that. What happened to Mistwaker?
Mistwalker, they're
They're
still
doing
around.
mobile games now.
Yeah, they're doing fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
crap.
it's
I just
really
remember
fucking
they had
disappointing.
there was Lost Odyssey,
Well,
which
the best.
that wasn't them, but
Yep, that's the best game on the 360. Though Feel
And
Plus did a lot of the development for that before they were shuttered.
yeah, and
Field
then
Plus, who also
Quaker.
did Shadow Hearts, which was
Oh
amazing.
God, I remember that.
Well,
Yeah.
now that wasn't Field Plus, but it was the same employees.
Yes, that's
And
what I meant.
yeah, and so they went from whatever like that studio was to Field Plus, and then after 99 Nights, like two or something like that, Field Plus dissolved, and most of their team was rolled up into another bigger studio, and then like kind of diffused. So
I just remembered all those, a lot of the creative folk behind the RPGs that we grew up with seemed to keep forming companies that just wouldn't, or they put out something that was just not really well received. And so remember, like, what was it, Blue Dragoon or Blue Dragon?
Blue Dragon,
Yeah,
Blue Dragon, yeah.
which
like
was
stuff
eh,
like that.
Blue
Yeah,
Dragon
it
was
was.
okay.
Yeah. Lost Odyssey was freaking great.
Lost
Yeah,
Odyssey. Oh my God, the writing in that was
Everything about it was
So
like,
I'm hoping Lost Sphere is the Lost Odyssey to Blue Dragon. You know what I mean?
oh,
So that
interesting.
it's like the same team, but like doing something new, and it's actually way better. But from what I played, we'll see.
Well, since I apparently bought it,
I'm glad that they dropped the piano only soundtrack, because as pretty as that sounded, it kind of got like
yep.
monotonous towards the end. And the
Yep.
soundtrack in Lost Sphere was actually pretty decent in the demo.
Well, I got the deluxe edition, so
Oh, of course.
which included the soundtrack. So I'll let you know.
Of course, yeah. But yeah, when I compare my experience with Lost Sphere with Project Octopath Traveler, like
Ooh.
Octopath Traveler, I was instantly in, like, oh my god, the story's great, the combat's awesome, I need to play this. Lost Sphere was like, it looks cool.
Is Octopath Traveler exclusive to Switch?
I believe so. It's the team that did Bravely Default.
Oh yeah. See, that's another game that should have been better. But
it's good.
See,
well,
God, those games, that's one I got. I bought the sequel and never opened it. So I have the same unfortunate disease that Blaine has, apparently. But yeah, Bravely Default, I got really into that for a while. And then I got 3DS syndrome or DS syndrome, where I set it down for too long because it was just uncomfortable to play for a long period of time. And my God, trying to go back to that, I had no clue what the hell I was doing, because that was a really unique take on everything.
Yeah, totally.
And it's interesting though, like the old style CRPGs that have come back have just like there's a handful of studios that have absolutely nailed that, like making that genre feel new. Where on the Japanese side, like the JRPG formula, I'm like, this should be so much easier. Like this should be better than it is. And like, because like Bravely Default, I've been told the first half is great and the second half is terrible.
Oh, and then the first, I was hoping I was building towards something.
Well, and like that was one, and I used to play my DS a lot, like in bed. Like I would just, I'd play like a section of Phoenix Wright, which was just the right amount for like, pre going to sleep. But for some reason, like I've just totally fallen off of that. Also, I was taking classes for my master's degree at the time as well, and so I had a lot more time for portable gaming back then. But I don't know. So hopefully, Lost Sphere is great.
I would love it if I know you're gonna play it for like 30 minutes. But if you could stream those 30 minutes so I could check it out, that'd be great.
Yeah, I was just trying to look it up because I had not heard of it. It looked like the only
Yeah.
review I saw that was out was like IGN Japan gave it like a 70 or 73.
Oh, yeah, it looks like it's another IM Setsuna, which Blaine never went back to play by the way.
Well, but I'm sure like Famitsu will give it 39.5 out of 40.
That's what they give every game now.
That's
Well,
that's
what
the deck clears. Come on.
yeah, I was gonna say that's what they give every Japanese game.
That's what they
You
give
know.
to Monster Hunter World, actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. There you go. So, but yeah, all right, guys. Will you have any final thoughts for the evening?
Uh,
No.
no,
Okay.
that's
Be
really it.
excellent to each other.
What?
Yeah, that always.
Well, so here, before we go, if you are watching and you like what you've seen, please give us a follow. We're trying to build toward affiliate status, and we're getting closer and closer. So it would be so greatly appreciated. And Ernesto will be back tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Central with Cuphead, but we call it Cufet, right?
Cassette, yeah, cassette.
Okay. And then yeah, and then I anticipate there will be some streaming of Monster Hunter World sometime this weekend. We'll try to get some notice out. It would be interesting, actually, Ernesto, if you and I played at the same time and streamed it.
That'd be great.
And so we'll figure out when and if that's possible.
Sure.
But yeah, so
I have some things down the line too. Like, I want to see if I could stream just a chill stream of a Mario RPG.
yeah,
And then have people that played it like point stuff out to me if I'm missing something out or whatever. That'd be cool.
and yeah, because you had an idea about the timing for that if you want to move forward, we'll discuss and
Yeah.
And
another one is I just bought Darkest Dungeon, so I'm seeing a stream of that in the future too.
Did you rebuy it?
What do you mean? No. I just stay with the Steam version.
Okay, all right.
Because I saw it on. Yeah, what were you saying?
You didn't know because you didn't buy it on Steam because we had this whole thing about that.
Yeah, because I saw it on Humble Bundle for $9.99, and I'm like, okay, now's the time. The DLC just came out. It's free on PC. Let's do this. I bought it, and then I'm like, oh shit! As soon as I got the confirmation email, I'm like, oh shit, it's coming out on Switch. Damn it!
No.
And I couldn't return it because if I had bought it on Steam, I would have been able to, but because I bought it on Humble Bundle and got a key for it, there was nothing I could do. But it's actually good because it plays really good with the mouse and keyboard. And when I checked it out on Switch, it's for $25. I'm like, oh no, I'll just play it on PC.
Yeah, this is a whole other discussion, but I am amazed at the quality PC games that the Switch is getting.
Yeah.
And like Wasteland 2 is it's just one of the best games I've played in the last few years. When I saw it was coming to Switch, I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Switch is just kicking ass, man.
Yeah, and it's to the point where even I am thinking about getting one.
Because the cool thing about it, for example, a game like Darkest Dungeon, is you can play it on TV, take it out, and then you can actually have that really cool touchscreen interface from the iPad version on the touchscreen of the Switch. So you have everything from both worlds. Now,
I will say that the cardboard trash announcement yesterday probably put my Switch purchase a little bit further out.
Well, that's for the kids, man. You have to get that. You have to get every game.
That looked amazing.
If you say so, dude. I was just like, it was one of those moments again, and I have this so many times with you people, where I'm like, I'm the only sane one in the room. And we went through this with the vitality sensor, with the plastic trash instruments, with the
remember Wii Music?
But
that was
this Miyamoto came out with the I'm like, hell no.
And the drummer became a meme.
This whole thing made me sort of think of, though, it almost gave off like a Lego Mindstorm sort of vibe.
Which is what? Lego Mindstorm?
Yeah, that's where you build stuff and then you actually use like a programming thing so you can basically control what you build. So the whole idea, and it's not for us, right? I just thought of of something like for my son to work on. I have to build this, and then I can play with it. It's
Yeah, that's really cool, man.
yeah, like I think that this is an amazing thing. Like if you get it to do with your kid, if you have like a younger kid, I just that's what I thought of immediately watching that, and I saw it would be
Yeah.
the most amazing sort of experience. So
So
that's
so
where
how
I
much?
was coming at it from. Like, yeah, I'm in my 30s. I'm not gonna like buy and strap a piece of cardboard to my back, and it's but the whole thing from the building to the playing with it, etc. I just think that it's marketed towards either a parent helping a younger kid or somebody in that like early teen range.
Right. Yeah.
So you're totally going to buy it, use it yourself, and I will judge you for it, but that shouldn't stop you. That's okay though. I mean, and like I bet you there's so many parents that are like, I'm going to buy that for my kids, and then once they go to bed, But I think like the cardboard costs like $80, right?
Yeah.
It's yeah, it comes with the game because it's actually running a game specific to interpret the movements that it's picking up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you guys enjoy that.
I'm not gonna buy it, but I'm just saying it's cool for kids.
You were so buying it, dude.
I'm totally not buying it, dude.
Yes.
That's not my kind of shit. But I'm not also not gonna criticize it. Like it looks fun. If I was a kid and cause I love building Gundam models and I love building Lego and I like that stuff. If I was a kid and somebody gave me that, I would freaking had a good time with it.
Yeah, sure. As long as they're producing the $80 to buy it on time, and then whatever the Switch costs, and
You know what? As far as kids games go, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than Skylanders or Lego Dimensions or that type of stuff.
Oh, fuck that shit, dude. Like, yeah, like and see, more trash. It's like you're buying like plastic or vinyl, whatever trash.
At least this trash is recyclable, man. So it's all good.
That's a fair point. Okay. So I can recycle my $80. Awesome.
Well, the way I think it's gonna work is they were saying like the game itself is like a $50 thing, and then the $30 extra is for the cardboard set or whatever. And like I've been hearing rumors about like because cardboard it'll get wet, it'll get broken. Like to get the replacement things, it's gonna be like $20 or something like that.
Jesus.
We'll see how it is. Because they also are selling another thing. Because I had to go into Nintendo.com to understand what the hell this was. So it's $70 for the variety kit, and then $80 for the robot thing. But it's still the same game. It's just you're getting different cardboard sets. So if you get one, there's got to be a way where you just have to get the cardboard of the other, not the whole game again. We'll see how it goes. There's also a $10 customization pack, which is just markers and tape and stuff like that to decorate your stuff. So they're selling markers as DLC. That was just hilarious to me.
Nintendo's going to find a way to sell you oxygen.
Yeah.
And these are the same motherfuckers. The goddamn Wii U controller. Like, if you broke it or it was damaged at all, good luck. Like I remember like the repair, because you couldn't just go to GameStop and get another one.
Yeah.
But like you had to pay roughly whatever it would cost to have it repaired in Japan. And I told my kids, tough luck.
Yeah.
Next time don't break your shit. And then my oldest was like, well, can we just buy another Wii U? I'm like, yeah, you're funny. And Jeremy says, did they hire EA developers? Yeah, see, and actually, so it's funny because Nintendo has figured out the monetization scheme of EA, except they figured out a way to make it sell you cardboard. But for like, anyway, and it's pay to win. Yeah, see, it's pay to win, but the markers are fucking.
It's gonna be funny if you're like, nah, man, I'm gonna use my own markers. And then you try to paint it and nothing comes out and it has like a coating or something that only their markers will work.
Wow.
That's something Nintendo would do.
It pops up error 79.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's what I was thinking. It'd be like foreign marker detected. Cardboard, no good. All right. Let's call it. This has been a great time. But I need to go play Monster Hunter World Beta to help justify whatever I paid for it. And
$70.
Jeremy says 404 ink not found. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you've enjoyed what you've watched here, then please give us a follow. Otherwise, Ernesto, well, not otherwise. Ernesto will be back tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Central with Cuphead.
Right.
And then we'll, like I said, we'll do some kind of Monster Hunter World something on the stream this weekend. And yeah, so that's it. So everybody say goodnight and then stay online. I want to talk to you guys real quick.
Sure thing.
How do I turn this off? Hang on one sec. And
Good night.